Thank you. I thought they had finally gotten you, Mr. Kilowald, but I realized that wasn't the case I was calling.
Sorry.
Court calls the case, People State of Michigan versus Raheem Smith.
Kirby on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sam Bernstein with and on behalf of Mr. Smith, seated to my right.
All right, very good. This is date and time set for preliminary examination. Are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, the people would call Raven Hinton.
And please come forward to be sworn.
Solemnly swear affirm and testify. First and last name is spelled for the record.
Raven Hinton, RAVENHINTON.
You may inquire.
Thank you. Ms. Hinton, do you recall April 28th of 2023?
Yeah.
And where were you that day? Okay. And do you know what city or township that's in? And do you know what county that's in? And you said you were at your friend's house. Was anyone else there with you?
She was there, Harmony was there, and her kids were there. I mean, it was different people there. Are you talking about when the incident happened, or
Sure. When the incident happened, who was there?
Harmony and her two kids, Messiah and Luke?
Okay. And did you have anyone else that showed up to the home?
Yeah.
And who was that? Okay. And do you see Raheem Smith in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you tell me something he's wearing? And let the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant as Raheem Smith.
Without objection, record shall so reflect.
And when the defendant came over to that location, where was he?
He was in the car.
And did you go out to the vehicle?
I went out to the vehicle.
And how do you know him?
That's the father of my child.
And did you get inside the vehicle? And what happened when you were inside the vehicle?
Started to hit me when I got in the car.
Okay, and when you say he started to hit you, where was he hitting you? Okay, in your face, and what side of your face? Do you recall?
I mean, he was in the driver's side of the face, and then I got in the car.
And do you recall how many times he hit you?
Just once, and he grabbed my hair. And
Oh.
I opened the door and got out.
Okay, and what happened when you exited the vehicle?
I had dropped all my stuff on my purse on the ground.
If you need to take a moment, you can. May I approach for a second briefly?
Yes, you may.
I dropped all my stuff on the ground, like my cars and stuff. And when I was bent over, he kind of revved the engine up like he was gonna hit me, like I was facing the driveway. Kind of revved the engine up. But he was gonna proceed to hit me, but he didn't. And I ran up to the porch to knock on the door. Harmony let me in, but it was locked. And he came on the porch and started fighting me.
Okay, and when you said he came on the porch and started fighting you, what does that mean? Did he grab you? Did he hit you?
Yeah, he grabbed me, he was punching me, he was fighting me. And I got away before Harmony opened the door. And when she came out, she seen that me and him had been in a fight. I ran into the backyard and then I came back around to the front. And she was upset that he had came back to her house.
Okay. And is At that point, did he leave you alone?
He was still in the yard, like he wouldn't leave, and that's where Harmony got upset at because it was her home and he was on the grass. Actually, he pulled up to the porch. That's how close he was when he jumped out to fight me. He pulled his car on the porch, and that's why she came outside upset because the car was on her whole lawn.
Okay. And at any point, did you give the defendant permission to touch you in that way?
No.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Cross-examination.
You saw that Harmony was upset. What about her led you to believe that she was upset?
She was upset because this was our second time fighting at her home. He had came there earlier in the night and fought me inside her home, and it was broken up. And he left and came back at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this is when the incident happened. So she was upset that he came back to her home.
Was she visibly angry at that time?
Yeah, she was angry.
What could you tell about her that makes you think she was visibly angry?
I mean, she was yelling, she was going off to get off her property. I mean, we're all friends, or like we all know each other, so she was upset with him for riding his car on her lawn.
What was she yelling?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
An excited utterance.
Sustained.
How long was she yelling for?
And so the whole incident, it was a argument, like she was yelling, "Ted, get off my yard, leave."
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Okay. She didn't call for their response. All right.
Okay, I didn't ask a question there, Your Honor, of course. What was she doing with her body language at that time?
I mean, what do you mean?
Like, what was she doing with her hands? What was she doing? Where was she walking?
She was walking, I mean, she was walking towards him and she was upset. She was telling him to get off her lawn. She was cussing him out. She picked up the brick. She did all that. She was upset. And I told her to put the brick down. She put the brick down.
You said she picked up a brick?
Yeah, but she didn't hit his car because I told her to put it down and to come up because I seen that he was in the state of.
How long after Raheem got there did she pick up the brick?
After he fought me twice. Got back in the car and was still on her lawn with the car.
How long did she have the brick in her hands for?
Not, I mean, probably about 30 seconds. It's a brick. Like if you're not gonna hold a brick for.
You think it was in her hands for 30 seconds? When she had the brick in her hand, what else was she doing?
I mean, she was aiming like she was gonna throw it at the car, but I told her to put it down. She didn't.
When you say that she was aiming like she was going to throw it at the car, what do you mean?
Like she had the brick in her hand, like she was gonna throw it at the car.
Could you like demonstrate the actions with your hands?
I just did that.
Okay. Like you're saying she had the brick in one hand and she was pointing it like that?
Yeah, it was like basically over her head. That's why I said 30 seconds, because who can hold a brick over their head that long?
I don't know. So she had the brick over her head for a little bit,
Yeah,
and she was doing that while she was cussing him out.
yeah, because he was still on her lawn with his car, pulled up to her front porch.
Was she standing in the same spot while she had the brick in her hand?
What do you mean standing in the same spot?
When she had the brick in her hand, did she stay in one spot or did she move somewhere else?
She was standing in front of the car with it. And
How?
I said standing, I didn't say walking.
Okay. So she's standing near the car with the brick over her head?
Right.
And how close does the car does she come with the brick?
I mean, she drops it behind her back, so she doesn't even throw it. When I tell her to put it down.
So you were yelling at her while she had the brick in her hand?
I was yelling at both of them. I was telling him to leave and get out the property, and I was telling Harmony to put the brick down and come inside her home.
So you're trying to diffuse the situation is what you're saying?
Right, that's why I even went outside in the car with him, because he was telling me that he was pulling up to her house and it was I better come out and this and that, and I didn't wanna bring anything to my friend's home, but it's not my home, and he knows that.
Okay. Did Harmony ever, did she touch Raheem? Did she kick his car door?
She did,
How did she kick his car door?
whatever, foot.
Okay. And when did she do that in the interaction?
After she dropped the brick, she was upset because he still was sitting there and he wouldn't move. She was on the phone with her mother as well as me talking to her. Her mother was trying to calm her down and I was trying to calm her down, but she was upset. And after she dropped the big brick, she went and kicked the door and then she did hit him.
And she did hit him?
Yeah, through the window.
How did she hit him through the window?
I mean, like, I don't know if it connected, but she threw her hand, she kicked the door, threw her hand in the window.
Okay. Like was it a punch? Was it a slap?
I mean, it was like through the window, like.
Are you saying that her hand went through the window, but you couldn't see it after it went through the window?
I was following her to the porch and she was at the door. of the
Okay.
car, and they were on the line. I'm telling you that her arm went in, I don't know if it was closed, open, but she kicked the door and put her hand in the car to swing on him because he's still at this point where she had a brick, I'm telling him to leave, everybody's telling him to leave, he's still sitting there. So she's frustrated because this is, again, her home with her 2 children in the house, and he knows that.
Okay. Did she try to hit him through the car once or twice?
One time, I said once.
Okay. After she tried to hit him, were you still yelling?
Yeah, I was yelling at him to leave the whole time.
How far away from the car were you at that
Also,
time?
across the street, who he knows was telling him to leave as well.
How far away from the car were you when you were talking to them?
I was on the porch. I was close enough to the porch, and I was telling Harmony to come on the porch so we can go inside. And I was on the way there. We were gonna handle it however we needed to, so it wouldn't have had to go this way for nobody.
How far is the porch from the car?
At this point, he backed up to like the curb, like close to the curb. Like he was up on the porch when he pulled up initially to come, and he backed up like to the curb, like, but he was still in the grass,
Okay,
still on the line.
so
Like halfway in the driveway, halfway on the grass.
is this while she has the brick in her hand?
Yeah, that's what's at this point, because he backed his car up a little bit, but he still didn't pull off her line, he still didn't pull off her property, and her 2 small children were in the house sleeping. This is his second time coming and doing something at her home.
Can you estimate how far away the porch was?
I don't know, I didn't have a ruler.
More than 10 feet?
I just said from the porch to he backed up to the curb.
Thank you. I have no more questions, Your Honor.
Ma'am, just so that I'm clear, when you're saying that he backed up to the curb, you're saying his back wheels went to the curb?
Basically, the back
Okay.
wheels were at the curb. So he
Got it.
backing up from being at the porch.
Okay, I got it.
Judge, could I ask if the witness remain in the court just in case I need to call later? And there's gonna be more testimony after her that could be relevant.
Is there any redirect of this witness at this time?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you may step down. You'll have to remain in the building, but outside of the courtroom. Okay, because you may be called back, but I'll release you as soon as I know. Okay, thank you. May call your next witness.
That people would call Harmony Redding.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Ma'am. Not in my court, ever.
I apologize.
Yeah, and I believe the defendant called her a snitch, that's why she
I-
responded.
I know,
I'm sorry.
I know. And I'm about to, you know what? Take him out. We'll stop this right now. You need to talk to your client about how he's conducting himself in my courtroom.
I didn't see anything, Your Honor. I was looking at
Well, He started lipping off right now, and he's still lipping off. You need to talk to him, check him before we bring him back in.
Okay, understood, Your Honor.
So we'll have Miss Redding have to wait.
Okay.
Will conduct themselves.
Sorry, Your Honor. I'll be back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burns. Yeah, but do we have another one ready? Mr.
I think we can call Robert.
Okay. All four of those.
Yes. One.
Got it.
What is you? They'll be.
40, the defendant would be pleading to count 2, 3, and 4, and count 1 would be dismissed. And then the other cases, 23F5, 5041, 54, and 5518 would also be dismissed. There's also a sentencing agreement between the people.
You know what? Hold on one moment. You want to call security down to the end of the hallway? Call.
Yeah, just take them out. They all done, take them out.
Call it, Mr. Danner, please, down at the end of the hallway.
Okay, thank you.
The other officers are trying to rile them up, right?
I know, but they coming down. They're out there now. All right. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Killawall. Mr. Rembert, go ahead. Need people to behave themselves. Everything good? Okay, gotcha.
His mom's. Arguing. She's not. I didn't see her in court.
Got it.
She's not in court.
Okay, so she was just out there or something, and then, okay.
It's not my fault. Yeah.
Kick anybody out. So.
We're good.
Okay. You didn't leave then?
All
Okay. All right, let's get him back out then. Let's try this again. Mr. Bernstein, you have admonished your client.
You should know to start to be quiet, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Should be okay.
I guess.
The purple.
Answering just normally.
All right. Back on the record in the case of the People State of Michigan versus Raheem Smith. Counsel is present. Mr. Smith, you had an opportunity to talk with your attorney about how you should conduct yourself in my courtroom, sir? Had you talked to your attorney about how you need to conduct yourself in my courtroom? Thank you. You may call your next witness.
The people would call Harmony Redding.
And please come forward to be sworn. This way.
When you take a seat, raise your right hand. Solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
State your first and last name and spell it for the record.
Harmony Redding, HARMONYREDDING.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you. Ms. Redding, do you recall April 28th of 2023? Where were you? Okay, and do you know where that is? Can you tell me the address?
1645.
Do you know what city or township that's in? And who were you there with?
Raven and my kids.
Okay, and did anyone appear at that home after just all those people were already there?
Like at a certain time.
Yes. Did anyone drive onto the grass?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and do you see Raheem in the courtroom today? Okay, and can you tell me what he's wearing? Okay, and let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant as.
Without objection, or just so reflect. Go ahead.
And when he pulled up into the driveway and onto the grass, where were you? And at any point, did you come outside of the home?
Raven was banging on the door and just saying a bunch of different stuff. He was gonna kill her and open up the door and leave.
Okay. And when you came out of the home, what did you see?
Like kind of dragging her off the porch. I don't know if he was trying to pull her back into the car because the car was up to the porch. So he might have been trying to pull her back to the car.
Okay. And what did you do at that point?
So we get off my porch and leave. Leave.
Okay. And so at any point, did you have any physical contact with the defendant?
He had stepped back in his car and he kind of backed up into like the front part of the grass, but he was still like in the grass and I had picked up the brick and I went up to the car at first and I was about to throw the brick, but then I ended up throwing the brick down just because I thought about my kids and everything like that. It would just go cause more commotion, so I might just leave.
Okay. And so you just said, did you have any actual physical contact with him though?
I think I shut his door.
Okay. And at any point, did you stick any of your hands into his vehicle? Okay.
I remember shutting his door.
Okay. And the brick, when you had it in your hand, did you act like you were going to throw it at him or what were you doing with the brick?
And then I sat there and I thought about it. I just had it in my hand and I threw it down. And I started walking back towards my porch. And then I heard like the little car a little bit, but then I turned around like, what are you doing? And then just lit up and hit me at first.
Okay. So when you said you heard the car, what do you mean by that?
Like you know, if the car has been parked and you hear it like the, I don't like, it wasn't like no brum, brum, but it was like you can hear him coming like.
Okay. And when you heard him coming, what way were you facing? Towards the car or away from the car?
Back towards my porch, and when I heard that, I turned around. So when he hit me, I was face forward with the car, like this is me in the car.
Okay. And where were you when you got hit by the vehicle?
Right.
Okay. And were you in front of the porch, in front of the home? Where were you?
In front of the porch, because I ended up smashing against the porch.
Okay. And about how far were you from the porch when you heard him and you turned around?
I don't measure.
Okay. Can you just guess? So was it from this podium to where you're sitting or?
Yeah, no, like like the car, I don't know, like yeah, no, the porch is here, I get yeah.
Okay.
Right there, and then I'm like in the middle.
Okay. And that's when you turned around because you heard the vehicle. Okay. And then you just testified that you ended up going into the porch. Okay. And so, did you just fall on the porch or, okay. So Well, I'm asking you to explain because the judge doesn't know what happened.
Okay, once he hit me, I don't know, he hit me. Instead of he hit me because we wasn't all the way connected. So this is me and this is the car. And so he hit me and then he smashed me against the porch.
Okay, and so when you went into the porch, did part of the porch,
Right.
it broke?
Yeah, the porch is broke.
Okay, and when he was revving his car up and you turned around and you looked at that vehicle, what were you feeling in that moment?
I didn't know he was gonna smash me, so the hit itself really didn't hurt as much as people probably think, but once he smashed me, that's what was like, almost, like, I thought I was done.
Okay, and you thought, when you said you thought you were dying,
When I dropped down, I tried to crawl away, because I thought he might run me over or something, so I crawled away towards my trash can, so I went from the porch to the trash can. And then I'm telling everybody that's around me, like, my soul feel like it's leaving my body, like, I feel like I'm about to die.
okay, and do you know if pictures were taken of you that day? Okay, and showing defense counsel people's proposed exhibits 1 and 2. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Before they're entered, if I could just,
Not moving to any of them yet.
I know Kate was asking before we get there.
Okay,
You're about to though? All
well, I would like to lay a foundation.
right, lay the foundation.
Let you guys do what you're gonna do. Let's go.
Okay, can you please look at people's proposed exhibit 1 and tell me what that's a photo of?
My legs, my left leg,
Okay, and do you know what day that photo is from?
April 28th, 2022.
And did your leg look like that before you were hit by a vehicle? Okay, and is that a fair and accurate depiction of how your leg looked after you were hit by the defendant? Okay, the people would move to admit people's proposed exhibit 1.
Hold on. Any objection or voir dire?
Could I have voir dire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Could I perhaps get the photos from the,
Well, 1, I haven't moved to admit the second one.
okay.
Mr. Allen, you take the photo. Give that to Mr. Bernstein.
Just the first one.
Just the first one.
I have no voir dire on that, Your Honor. I have no objection to that coming in.
Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Can you look at people's proposed exhibit 2, please? And what is that a photo of?
My right leg,
Okay, and do you know when that photo was taken?
April 28th, 2022.
And is that how your leg looked before you were hit by a vehicle? And is that how your leg looked after?
Yeah.
And that's a fair and accurate depiction of how your leg looked after you were hit by the vehicle on April 28th. The people will move to admit people's proposed exhibit 2.
Any objection or voir dire?
Voir dire, I just want to look at it one more time, Your Honor.
And just for the record, the people did show defense this before we started this exam.
Okay,
asking
that's fine. Did you have voir dire or no?
No voir dire, no objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 2 is admitted.
And after those photos were taken, what happened to you?
I believe I start kind of like maybe passing out. I remember going into the ambulance, but not how I got in there. And then I woke up and all.
Okay. And at any point, did you give the defendant permission to touch you in any way with himself or with his vehicle? Okay. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Right. Cross-examination.
And Your Honor, I would just ask that the photos be published to the court.
Oh. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bernstein.
I want to start at the point in time when you come outside. How long after you come outside do you pick up the brick?
Like 3 minutes later, 2 minutes, just around the corner at first. So we got off for a minute and then I got down. He got the car back there. He was still sitting there, so about 2-3 minutes maybe.
And what was your plan when you picked up the brick?
I was gonna throw it at his car.
And so what are you saying as you pick up the brick?
Get the fuck on.
Okay. And after you said get the fuck on, what did you continue to do after this? After you get to that point?
Kept saying it. Threw the brick down. I think I kicked his door shut after that. And back there. And then I walked away. And then my back was turned. And then I heard the car or whatever. I turned around to see what he was doing, and he sped up. And
So when you pick up the brick initially, if I could just bring you back there, you pick up the brick initially, you walk towards his car?
yes, I was gonna brick it.
And when you say brick it, do you mean?
I was gonna throw the brick at his car, but I didn't. I threw the brick down.
When you were walking to his car, how were you holding the brick?
It was like a 5 pound, I don't know, it was a real heavy brick, so it really took 2 hands, but I was real mad, so I had held it with one hand, but my hand was kind of weighing down, so I threw the brick down.
Okay. Were you yelling at him during this time?
Yes.
Were you yelling at him loudly?
But yelling is loud.
Okay. So you were being loud as you were yelling?
What? Yelling is yelling.
How
You can't yell quietly. Yelling is yelling. So
Okay.
yes, loud.
Like the way you are now or louder?
Yeah,
Okay.
louder probably.
Okay, so you're louder than you were now. What other things are you yelling at him while you're walking towards him? Okay. And
Oh, I did say we could fight, like if you ready to fight instead. Like,
Okay. So when you're walking towards him, you offered to fight?
No, I called my mom and I said we was gonna beat this nigga ass.
Okay. When did you call your mom and say that?
While I had the brick in my hand, and then once I threw the brick down, I called my mom. My mom's on the phone yelling, she's on her way, she's on her way. I'm like, Mom, pull up, we're gonna beat this nigga ass, he don't wanna leave my kids in here. So yeah, by then the brick was down.
How close were you to the car when you were having that conversation?
Probably like this close. The door and me. He was inside in the seat. So he's in the car, the door is open, this is the door and this is me. And I'm yelling past the door.
Close enough for him to hear you, right?
You can hear me from a mile away if I was yelling, like I said.
And his door was open as you're walking towards him?
Yes.
And as you're walking towards him, he doesn't get out of the car?
I was just sitting there, looking dumb.
He's just sitting there looking down?
Dumb.
Dumb? Okay. And so you eventually kick his car?
I kicked the door shut and told him to leave again.
How did you kick his door shut?
How did I kick it shut?
Describe it to me.
Kick it shut.
Okay. Like going like this or behind or what? Do you remember?
I kicked the door shut.
Okay. And did you ever, you didn't touch him? You never reached into the car? When you kicked his door shut, how far away was Raven from you?
She's on the porch.
Could she see what you were doing?
Yeah.
Okay. At the time that you kicked the door, you no longer had the brick in your hand?
No.
You had thrown it down?
Yeah.
How close to the car did you throw it?
Oh, no.
How long after you kicked the door shut had you called your mom and said that you were gonna beat his ass?
I probably was on the phone with her during that.
Okay, so like right up to the point where you get to the car. So after you kick his door shut, you said that you started walking a different direction?
Walking back towards my porch.
Okay. How far away was your porch?
From me to
Okay.
maybe a little farther back, maybe from him to me.
20 feet?
My porch, this is his car, this is my porch.
Okay. So from the table where me and the defendant are sitting to where you're sitting right now on the witness stand. Okay. And you said that you felt the car make contact with you.
I didn't feel the car moving. I heard the car starting up and going. But at first it seemed like it might have been in park and then he took it out of park and drove. Cause it was fast, the way it happened was fast. It didn't seem like it was just fast.
You said earlier when the prosecutor was asking you questions that when the car hit you, it didn't hurt as much as people think.
Yeah, like, so the car impact, when he first hit me, it didn't hurt at first, so I was still on the phone with my mom, I'm like, oh, you hit me? It was like regular, I thought it was kind of just gonna stop, but then he smashed me against the porch and backed up and sat there while I crawled away, so that's what hurt, that's what made my calves.
So what hurt was when you made contact with the porch.
When he smashed me against the porch, not made contact, smashed me against the porch.
Okay, when you hit the porch, that's what hurt.
Yeah, but nobody's supposed to get hit by a car, period.
I get it. I get it. We're just trying to figure out what happened here, okay?
Uh,
I'm trying to figure out, so you said that you cut your legs when you hit into the porch, right?
I don't know when my legs cut. I was already out. When I crawled to the ground, I didn't even know my legs was left open until I seen some white meat on my right leg, but I didn't know what my left leg was like until I woke up.
So you do you know where the car made contact with you?
I don't know. I thought I got smashed here. So my legs ended up bust open.
Okay, but I guess you don't know where the car made contact with you?
Yeah, my stomach. That's what it felt like right here, or right here, my stomach area. That's where the car feel like it hit me. But once he smashed me again, that's where my calves bust open.
And the cuts were on your calves?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no more questions. Thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Kirby? All right, ma'am, thank you. You may step down. And call your next witness.
The people have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right.
I
Any
have no
witnesses?
witnesses, Your Honor. The other witness can be excused.
All right, very good. Motion.
Yes, Your Honor, the people would ask the court to bind over on counts 1, counts 2, and counts 3. I believe that people have showed for a probable cause standard that this is a question for the trier of fact. We had Ms. Hinton testify that she shares a child in common with the defendant and that she went to the vehicle after he came to her friend's home. She was punched in the face, her hair was pulled, and then she tried to retreat, got out of the vehicle, went onto the porch, and then tried to drag her and was also hitting her at that time. And then we also had Ms. Redding testify that she went out after hearing her friend banging on the door asking for help, stating that her friend said that he was going to kill her. And that she went out, she had a brick at one point, but then dropped it. And as she was walking away, going back towards her home, she heard the revving of an engine. She turned around to see what it was, and he drove the car forward towards her, hitting her, and then driving it further forward, hitting her and smashing her into the porch, which caused her legs to burst open, as the People's Exhibits 1 and 2 show photos of. She also testified that while when the car initially hit her, she didn't know that it was going to be as bad as it was. And then when it smashed her into the porch, she felt like her soul was leaving her body and she was in fear for her life. And she thought that she was actually dying. And she began to faint as she was crawling away. The people would ask the court to bind over on counts 1 through 3. Thank you.
Response.
Really only going to address the A1 count, Your Honor.
All right, okay, that's fine. You're not objecting for purposes of preliminary examination to the requisite, the 2 other convictions on count 2, are you?
Well, I mean, I'd appreciate not binding them over, but I don't really have any argument on those, Your Honor. So I concede their questions of fact. So.
Okay, all right.
But I do want to address the most serious charge, Your Honor, and I know the court has the pictures in front of it, and they are nasty pictures. But as far as AWIM goes, I think, Your Honor, this is more of a severe assault to commit great bodily harm. We have a situation here where, Harmony does approach with a brick. She kicks his car. She's saying things about, you're going to get your ass beat, and my mom's going to come and we're going to beat your ass. She's saying that he's just sitting there, in the car looking dumb. She didn't elaborate on what looking dumb means, but I think there's also a lack of exchange between her and Mr. Smith. There's no, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to do this or that. There's no argument. There doesn't seem to be any, there's no testimony that there's a pre-existing relationship or conflict. She's stepping in, I get it, to protect her friend, but she's approaching the car and doing these things, whereas Mr. Smith is just sitting there. Getting specific about the injuries, I know she theorized that the car hit her in the waist area, but that was not, really what she ultimately felt. It was in the calf region, and she said that it was where she made contact with the porch. I think there's, obviously there's going to be enough to bind over where a great bodily harm. I'm not going to argue that, Your Honor, but there's just not enough there to say that his actions were trying to murder, Your Honor. I know that the injuries, they don't look nice on paper, but the injuries, I mean, if he were trying to, commit assault with intent to commit murder with the car, those injuries would have been a lot worse, frankly, and they wouldn't have been just below the knee, Your Honor. So I'm asking the court to not bind over an AWIM respectfully. Thank you.
Anything else? I don't really need it, but go ahead. All right. The court has heard the testimony in the case as to the disputed count. I think certainly from a factual standpoint, where there is an individual, Miss Redding, who is between a basically solid structure and a place where vehicles typically don't travel, that being the lawn, and the defendant moves his vehicle certainly fast enough to cause the injuries that were caused, and as she put it, smashed her against a porch. I think that is enough, it certainly is enough for the purposes of preliminary examination to bind over to the fact finder to determine the defendant's intent, but I think he intended to kill her. I'll just be blunt about it. I don't think there's any other reason that he would do that. So the court would believe that the people have indeed sustained their burden and would bind the defendant over on count 1 and 2 with count 3 following.
You're asked the court to please enter a not guilty plea, waive any further reading of the information, ask for a circuit court pretrial date.
Defendant having waived formal reading, standing mute or not guilty, pleading not guilty to the charges, counts 1, 2, and 3. Court will enter that plea. Pretrial will be set up, Judge. Yes.
July 12th at 1:30.
July 12th, 2023, 1:30 before Judge Conlon.
Your Honor, may I approach to sign information, please?
You may. You can have the photos now. Thank you. Ron, continue.